together.
Okay.
Faint. Today's portion, Tezaweh, is found in the book of, I don't know if you can see it, Shemot, or commonly known as Exodus, 27th chapter, 20th verse through the 30th chapter and the 10th verse. Last week's portion was Yom Tarumah, which means to lift up. So when we examined last week's portion, we were dealing with how we ascended by the offerings that we set apart for the tabernacle, and understanding even with the holy artifacts that were brought into the midst, that we were wholeheartedly dedicating to the temple and creating a house for the Most High Yah. Anytime that you do anything of that magnitude, that you're dedicating and you're building a house for the Creator, you're ascending closer to Him. You're creating a blessed environment for yourself individually and collectively.
Okay.
So it's not a light matter when you consider bringing forth your efforts to the Most High, and even the consideration and this understanding the things that have to go into this house. So today, we follow up that portion of the house. You know, when you think about a house, you know, if you're getting a house built from the ground, you're getting a house built from the ground, then when you're finished with it, you want to furnish it. You want to put some stuff in it to make it look nice.
Okay.
So that's what we did last week. And so this week, what we're going to do is we're going to go into this house. Now we need to know exactly who is to do what inside this house. There's going to be an order that is set up, a priestly order. We're going to talk about things like the offerings that have to be made in the midst of this consecration for the priest. We're going to even get down to the understanding that when you're going into the cleaning or the cutting up of the offerings to go on the offering, that they had to be cleansed. Cleanliness is next to yahliness. So even when we're talking about something that's going to go on that altar, just think about it for those of us that truly know how to. I'm going to use a chicken as an example. Now there's some that just take the chicken, they just throw it straight in some flour and cook it. That's disgusting.
Right.
But when you have someone that understands how to properly prepare this food, you hear them say, oh, I got to clean this chicken. What are you doing when you clean this chicken? You're cutting the fat off, you're washing it, you're separating it, you're cutting up in parts, and then you prepare it. So if we're doing that for our consumption, what more better reason when we're talking about putting something on an altar to have it ascend closer to the Creator, that we don't clean it, that we don't prepare it properly. The portions that are going to be dedicated for the Creator, the portions that's going to be dedicated for the priest, and those that are going to be set to the side that have no cleanliness to them. And they have a portion also. They have to be burnt without the camp. That's sin offering. So we're going to go over a few of these things today. Just wanted to get us started with the understanding of where we were and where we're going. Did anybody have anything they wanted to add on to what it is that we did learn last week? And Taruma. If not, allow us to dive straight into this portion.
Yeah.
With Parashat Tezaweh,
Shemot, commonly called Exodus, chapter 27, starting verse 20. Now you shall command the children of Israel.
Hold on 1 second. Okay, Tasha.
That they shall take for you clear olive oil, crushed for illumination, to kindle a lamp continually.
Okay, stop right there. So we're not just talking about regular olive oil. We're talking about olive oil that has been crushed, that has been beaten, that has been broken down into its purest form. Because when we're utilizing this olive oil for the lighting of this lampstand, the menorah or what have you, it's not a light or an illumination that is going to be bringing forth smoke. It is purely burnt. And when we're thinking about how pure that is, now let's look at the nature of the people that are going to be the representation of lighting this. A representation of Israel, a representation of the Most High God. You're talking about a priestly format that is being placed here, so they have to be pure. They have to make sure that everything about them and everything in their service is pure and clean. This is a very precise manifestation that is going on right here, you know. Because the Most High is allowing select individuals that are going to be trained and skilled. This is a lineage that is being built here. We're talking about Aharon, the high priest, and training his sons so that as we go down the line, there's an understanding of a priestly format. And the day is coming soon that we're going to have to return into this format. That's why courses like this are very important, because it's not a light matter. We are priests into the nations. You understand? So what better portion is it for us to understand that we have to be pure? Did we not just speak about all this? We want respect. Well, we have to command respect by having a pure heart. And that's the essence of this, of being a light. So now look at how we're paralleling that thought. That pure light that is being burnt by that purely beaten olive oil to be lit in that continual light that is supposed to burn constantly within this tabernacle. We are that light. We are that pure beaten oil. That's what's in our spirit. I just want us to consider this as we go along. That we're talking about the priestly format being built up, but we're also discussing who we are as a nation of people right now. Priests into the nations. Tom Sheep.
Verse 21. And the tent of meeting outside the partition that is near the testimonial tablets, Aaron and his son shall arrange it from evening until morning before Yahuwah, an eternal decree for their generations from the children of Israel.
That's right.
Chapter 28.
So now, we're about to get into the priestly garments. Man, listen. Bling bling, being fly, whatever term you want to use. They don't understand what that is until we get into this, look at this. I can't do
Come on.
This one's okay. That one's okay. But I, for some reason, because he looks more like us, I like this one better.
Come on.
This is what I'm talking about right here. We're about to get into the breakdown of these garments. Because this is for splendor.
Come on.
We're talking about these priests are standing before the nation of Israel and giving commands based upon the instructions that the Most High God has given them to perform these tasks. So whenever you come into the house of God, you should try your best to look your best.
Okay.
Now, I said try your best to look your best because, you know, everyone is striving, I pray, to bring forth the best that they have before the Creator.
Okay.
But, you know, for me personally, it kind of rubs me the wrong way when I think about people that go into these houses of false worship and they'll spend $5,000 on a suit, $800 on a pair of shoes, $5,000 Rolex to go serve a false god, and we act as though we can't bring forth this splendor that these priestly garments brought forth. It's just something for us to consider. So we're going to go into the wardrobe of the priest and what they're supposed to look like. Now, the Kohen HaGadol, he's got a slightly different role than the priest. So Aharon is going to have a different apparel, a different position than his sons. But once again, we're talking about an order, because when Aharon goes his way, now his sons have to be willing, able, and understand when they move up into a certain position, there's a certain look that they have to have. There's a certain understanding of the different things that go on in the tabernacle that they must be in alignment with, because we're talking about life or death. If you do not perform the task that is designated for you, you can and will lose your life.
Okay.
Time sheet.
Chapter 28. Now you bring near to yourself Aaron your brother and his sons with him from among the children of Israel. Aaron, Nadab, and Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar, the sons of Aaron, to minister to me. You shall make vestments of sanctity for Aaron your brother, for esteem and splendor. And you shall speak to all the wise-hearted people whom I have invested with the ruach of wisdom, and they shall make the garments of Aaron.
All right, I want you to stop right there. Did you hear that? He didn't say anybody, let's go find somebody to make these garments.
That's right.
He said wise-hearted. So in other words, go find that skilled craftsman that knows how to sew. That skilled person that knows how to cut that fabric out. Because what we're going to put together, when we get into the intricacies of what is going to actually happen, oh my gosh. This is something that is second to none how we actually put it about. And this skill hasn't left us, you know. We have people within our mix, and even in this community, that can put some garments together.
Right.
But the Most High said, we're not going to just put, this can't be rinky-dink. Everything that goes onto this actual outfit, it has to be up to above standards.
Bring your best out here. That's
Bring
right.
that best. That's
Come on,
right.
Doc.
So in order to wear my best, we have to have the best put it together. Time sheet.
Come on.
Verse 4. These are the garments that they shall make: a breastplate, an ephod, a robe, a tunic of a box-like knit, a turban, and a sash. They shall make vestments of sanctity for Aaron your brother and his sons to be priests unto me. They shall take the gold, the blue, the purple, and the scarlet, and the linen.
So now, wow. So now the colors, we got to hang it up right here on the wall.
Okay.
The blue, we're talking about the law. When you go to Numbers chapter 15:37, what does it tell you to attach to those fringes that you put on the four corners of your garment? A cord of blue. So we're talking about the law.
Okay.
We're talking about that purple. That is a royal color.
Royal.
We are royalty. So it tickles me when I hear the king and the queen of England and the royal family. There's a day that's soon to come. The true royal family is going to be in this earth
Okay.
with an understanding, and that is the house of Israel.
Okay.
That red. Now, it's a whole different portion. I'm not even going to touch this besides just an understanding. If you know anything about your 7 chakras, that red is the first one, and you're dealing with some of the internal life-providing instincts. You have to get into those things. But I just wanted to put that into an understanding that these are not just odd colors. And even when you think about the police, their lights are blue. You understand? And it's supposed to stand for the law, but we understand how that goes in this day and time. Now, did you can.
You're also dealing with the balance of heaven and earth. So it says gold, right? It's not talking about the color gold. It's talking about actual gold material.
Mm-hmm.
So for all those that have seen the show Once Upon a Time, and a dude named Mr. Gold, and when he's Rumpelstiltskin, he's turning gold into strings of gold.
Mm-hmm.
This is what we did. So gold isn't made, it's already here.
Mhm.
That represents the creator. Then you have linen, which comes from flax, which is a plant, which comes from the earth, which represents us. So you have what has always been with that grows from the earth and it comes together to form the garment. Then you have the blue, which represents the law, as Adon said, as well as the Shamayim. When the sky's clear and everything, it's a blue sky. Then you have the red, which represents the earth. Adon comes from the earth. Once again, you have the balance of those two, which creates the royalty, which is the purple. So you're dealing with the balance or the coming together of what the creator is amongst us, and that together brings forth what the priest is. He is a bridge between the Shamayim and the Adets. So that's also dealing with why those particular colors and those particular materials were requested.
Very good insert.
Okay.
Because this person that is going to, as you said, that is going to adorn these garments has to be a representation of all these things. King.
I just want to bring out wise people.
You said wise people.
Wise people to do this. Call them wise. Question is, where does this wisdom come from? He told Moshe, I want my wisdom in these people. See, we think so much that we are born with these talents, and we are, and y'all put these talents in us for a reason, but we don't recognize it. We think it's us that's doing it, but it's not him. It's like he gives us the understanding of where wisdom comes from when you study Shlomo. Shlomo was just, Shlomo had himself specific, and y'all gave him a good healthy dose of wisdom so he can rule the people, so he became the wisest man in the world, rather say the things he did. So he put this wisdom in the people to comprehend the orders that Moshe gave them and to do the work and the skills in their minds and their hearts to do the work that he gave. So this wisdom that we talk about and this skills that we talk about is not nothing that we've done. It's something that the Creator has done to us. We got to give that back to him.
Verse 7. It shall have 2 shoulder straps attached to its 2 ends, and it shall be attached. The belt with which it is in place, which is on it, shall be of the same workmanship. It shall be made of gold, blue, purple, and scarlet, and twisted linen. You shall take the 2 shoham stones and engrave upon them the names of the children of Israel, sons of Israel. 6 of their names on 1 stone, and the names of the 6 remaining ones on the 2nd stone, according to the order of their birth. A jeweler's craft, like the engraving of a signet ring, shall you engrave the 2 stones with the names of the sons of Israel. Encircled with gold settings shall you make them. You shall place both stones on the shoulder straps of the ephod, remembrance stones for the sons of Israel. Aaron shall carry their names before Yahuwah on both his shoulders as a remembrance.
So, what he's representing, you can see on the shoulder part, this is a representation of the nation of Israel. As it said, on those stones is crafted. The stones are cut, and the names of the tribes are placed in order. Time sheet.
Verse 13. You shall make settings of gold and 2 chains of pure gold. Make them at the edges of braided craftsmanship, and place the braided chains on the settings. You shall make a breastplate of judgment, of a woven design, like the craftsmanship of the ephod. Shall you make it of gold, blue, purple, and scarlet, and twisted linen shall you make it. Square shall you find it. Square shall it be, folded, its length a half cubit, and its width a half cubit. You shall fill it with stone mounting, 4 rows of stone, a row of odor, pittah, and barekes, the 1 row, the 2nd row, naphet, saphir, and yohalom, the 3rd row, leshem, shebo, and akalama, and the 4th row, tarshish, shoham, and yashrei. Set it in gold shall they be in the mountains. The stones shall be according to the names of the sons of Israel, 12 according to their names engraved, like a signet ring. Each according to his name shall they be for the 12 tribes. For the breastplate you shall make chains at the edges of braided craftsmanship of pure gold. For the breastplate you shall make 2 rings of gold, and you shall place the 2 rings on the 2 ends of the breastplate.
So notice something that is repetitive in this. We're talking once again about this glory and this splendor that is being brought forth with this breastplate. So now we're talking about the breastplate that is on the chest with the stones that are outlined in gold, and even the straps that are holding the breastplate are gold. This is, once again, it gets back to what I was saying a little bit earlier. This is something that we're putting together, that when this person is in your midst, you're going to reverence this person. This is not a normal person to look upon, and he's adorned in the fashion to help you understand that his task is not a light task. Continue.
For the breastplate you shall make chains at the edges of braided craftsmanship of pure gold. For the breastplate you shall make 2 rings of gold, and you shall place the 2 rings on the ends of the breastplate. And you shall place the 2 golden ropes on the 2 rings. at the ends of the breastplate. At the two ends of the two ropes you shall place on the two settings, which you shall place on the shoulder straps of the ephod toward its front. You shall make 2 rings of gold and place them on the two ends of the breastplate at its bottom, on its inner side toward the ephod. You shall make 2 rings of gold and place them at the bottom of the 2 shoulder straps of the ephod toward its front, opposite its seam, above the belt of the ephod. They shall attach the breastplate from its rings to the rings of the ephod with a turquoise woolen cord, so that it will remain above the belt of the ephod, and the breastplate will not be loosened from upon the ephod. Aaron shall bear the names of the sons of Israel on the breastplate of judgment on his heart when he enters the sanctuary, as a constant remembrance before Yahuwah.
Mm-hmm.
And to the breastplate of judgment shall you place the Urim and the Tumim, and they shall be on Aaron's heart when he comes before Yahuwah. And Aaron shall bear the judgment of the children of Israel on his heart constantly before Yahuwah.
Okay, so when we say the Urim and the Tumim, that's lights and perfection. There were instances, you can even reference Numbers 27, 18 through 21, or 1 Samuel 28, 5 and 6 are examples of how these things were used. There were instances where a judgment had to come straight from the Creator. And the Urim and the Thummim were actually signs that the Most High activated within these stones to help them understand, which way to go. Some people would have an understanding yes or no, innocent or guilty. It was sometimes, it was above the priest to even make a decision. They had to rely on the Most High to bring forth through these things. Cain's our
I
queen.
got a question.
Okay.
So this is just a question. Looking at this, do we really know what it really looked like? Or that's just some person right in the imagination they think it looks like?
Well, that's how come I didn't say anything when he was describing how it was put together, because at best, to answer your question, you have to just listen exactly to the wording, and based upon the wording as I heard it, if it is not exactly, I would say it's in the ballpark of what it would look like, because it describes it to a T exactly how these things were put together. You understand? So, I mean, it depends on how technical you want to be. I mean, I'm not saying that this is a exact replica of what Aharon wore, because we weren't there.
That's what I'm saying. We show these pictures, and when we look at these pictures, this is the image that trays in our head. It's these pictures that you're showing us. You understand what I'm saying? But when you read the book, now you wonder, if that's another false image, or is because it's something that was lost, because everybody tried to imitate, you know what I'm saying? The Pope,
Absolutely.
and all that stuff.
Poor imitation, but it can't.
Everybody tried to imitate, and they try to imitate what they read, because throughout the generations, centuries of the dispersion, stuff got lost. So when you show these images, or should we be showing images of stuff that we really shouldn't be implanting in our heads?
You can, because I was going to be quick to the draw.
No, go ahead.
Well, I mean, I understand your viewpoint, and it is a serious matter. But, what we attempt to do in our learning experience is to at least have an idea of what, in this instance, what the priestly garments may look like. When we get back to the land that the Most High promised our ancient foreparents, we can't figure it out then. We can't just assume that this is how things look, how we are supposed to act and react to certain things. The purpose of us going over these portions as we go over weekly is to get some form of understanding. You can say it's training. You understand, to get your mind in sequence with what is in this book. So,
yeah, one thing, train our mind to get the secret. See, we too much try to do things ourselves. Yah gave them the instructions and gave them wise men and put in their spirit how to do these things. What make us think he won't do it again?
What makes you think he will do it again?
Well, because he's God, and he's gonna have it his way. It's gotta be done according to what he said do, and not
Right.
according to what we think.
I could elaborate on that, but we can talk on break. Can
So so when you're reading this, the Creator. Okay, let me say this first. Now get to the the Creator gave us an outline, correct? Okay. Then He said, I have put wisdom in a man in order to make these garments.
Right.
So these are the particulars that the Creator asked for, right? Now, as a people, as you look around, we all have different styles. So the design of the garment would be dependent on the person who made it. But these are the things that you need to have. For example, the tzitzits or the fringes. He said you just need to have it braided,
Right.
and it needs to have a border of blue.
Right.
He didn't say anything else about
No
it.
more particular.
So I can have mine like this. Zokane has his like that. Zokane has his like that.
and you
So
may have yours that are wrapped all the way around the bottom.
all the way
and it's-
around. Which
Agreed.
is
Right.
so what I'm saying is, he gives you what is required. Now everything else is completely up to you based upon making sure that you just have what I told you to do. It needs to be these 4 colors. It needs to be those colors. It needs to be gold material. It needs to be linen. It needs to have the ephod, the stones, and they all need to be engraved. Other than that, I'm gonna let you have it because I've given you the wisdom to create and the imagination to build it. I just need you to have these things.
Right. This is what he said. This is how I command you to tell people, not anybody, but people that I put the wisdom into and gave them the skills to do it. So in other words, he said, and not only just the wisdom, he said, the way I showed you on the mountain.
He didn't say that for the garments.
Well, everything stems from he gave Moshe the idea of everything there. And he showed Moshe how to build a tabernacle, how to build everything, and was built there. And he just reiterated on what is required. And then he said, I'll put the wisdom in the people to do it. So in other words, so when it comes down to doing this, instead of saying, here it is, this is what we got. No, you're gonna put the wisdom in you to do it the way you want it done. Not based on your style, but based on him moving in you when he wants to move in you. See, the TCs is something different. TC say do it any kind of way you want. Just put a garment. He got specific instructions there. That's 2 different things. And when you got the specifics, I want specifics, and I want it to look this way, not according to how you think, but according to what I tell you it is and how I'm moving you to do it. That's 2 different things.
That's not what it says. But what we
I'm sorry, it does say that.
Well, we're going to move forward. I'll just say this in closing on this particular thought. I probably would receive it a lot better if we actually had a seamstress in the corner attempting to make these garments, and then that's what I said was the final product. But that's not what's going on here.
Right.
I think Dawood said it the best in that he's giving you the prescription, just like the anointing oil. There were certain elements of the anointing oil that had to be placed together to have it be anointing oil. If you didn't have those exact measurements, then you don't have anything official. He gave precisely what is utilized. So all we're doing is just trying to get a better understanding of what it is that he said, these are the things that are going to be used by that wise person. So in this day and time, as you said, I mean, I agree with you on that. There hasn't been a wise person, he said, to make these priestly garments. But when that time comes, this was the prescription for how that is done. Cain.
I just want to add it that everybody's touched differently. And with everyone being touched differently, what I make might not be like what this gentleman. He might make it extra sharp. Right now, this is just an idea. One of us will have that spark that's going to create what the Creator wants. Right now, that's just a guideline of what he's looking for. That's the only thing I can kind of feel, because I work with different people. When I get certain guidelines to them, I'm surprised at what I see brought forth off of the guidelines that I gave them. it's not what I thought it was going to be. It winds up being even better. So again, this is just guidelines for the time being. Because once he touches them and to do what needs to be done, it's going to be done. But right now, this is just a guideline.
Hey, agree. So why influence our images of the guideline with other people's images? That's what I'm saying.
I get that, okay, Kevin, that's.
Okay, all right.
Brother, there you go. We're in Shemot, commonly called Exodus chapter 28, continuing at verse 31. You shall make the robe of the ephod entirely of blue material. Its head opening shall be folded over within it. Its opening shall have a border all around of weaver's work. It shall be for it like the opening of a coat of mail.
So now now we're getting to the intricacies of how this is put together, because what it's actually saying is not only was a hole cut out for the head to go through, but it was reinforced, because what you didn't want to do is have the priest attempt to put the garment on and tear it. Now you have this. Now you can't present that before y'all. You can't wear that because this is a defective garment. So they made sure that even in that, once again, the wise craftsman, you have to know your seamstress to know exactly how to tailor that so that when it goes on, it's nice and smooth and nothing comes about. Tom sheet.
It may not be torn. Verse 33. You shall make on his hem pomegranates of blue, purple, and scarlet. On his hem all around, and gold bells between them all around. A gold bell and a pomegranate. A gold bell and a pomegranate.
So now you have Cain.
Pomegranate. Is it a replication of a pomegranate? I know not the actual pomegranate fruit, right? Is it the color? A color of a pomegranate, some kind of something that's the color of it. Okay, because we was talking about that. I was like, they asked me, that's not the fruit that he's going.
Once again, we're talking about a beautiful garment. We're talking about things that are fair to look upon. So the pomegranate bell, it came all the way around the road. The significance of the bell is you have to consider the high priest that one time in a year had to go into the holiest of holies to atone for the nation. You understand? And so now that area is the only time you can go in there is the Day of Atonement. Once he went back there, even he had to be particular at what he did. And when he's now, not here that there's a problem. And so now they will have to find a way to pull him back up out of there because something has gone deadly wrong, potentially. So that is more than just the splendor at this point. Now this, I guess we can call that a security feature to make sure that he's even okay in performing his task. Once again, we're making sure that everyone understands this. We don't have a false understanding or a God that is not superlative to all things and everything. That's who we serve. So everything about our service to him is particular. And from the way things are made, even to how we serve him. So we have to be very particular with the instructions, and it's very important to make sure that the instructions are followed. Okay?
I would say real quick, that also gets metaphor for different situations. Even when you go into a cave or you go into a situation, you usually like put ties, a rope around you, so you got lost, so you know how to get your way back.
Okay.
And he gets, once again, very particular in the order. Pomegranate and a bell. Pomegranate and a bell. So, verse 35. It must be on our room in order to minister. Its sound shall be heard when he enters the sanctuary before the Most High, and when he leaves, so that he does not die. 36. You shall make a head plate of pure gold, and you shall engrave upon it engraving like a signet ring, set apart to Yahuwah. You shall place it on a cord of blue, and it shall be on the turban, opposite the front of the turban.
Once again, that blue cord that we're talking about, we're referencing the law. So now we have a gold-plated mitre. That had to just be awesome to see. With the turban flipped towards the back or what have you, the essence of that gold turban is what was on the very front. So as we're going through our mental analyzation of what the priest and the priestly garments look like, let's just imagine what this gold plate would look like across his head. Tom Sheep.
Would it kind of look like a dome plate?
Absolutely. Something to that extent, except it would wrap around the whole front. It's a frontlet.
Yeah, okay.
That's what we're talking about.
I didn't say exactly, it's okay. 37. Sleep 38. It shall be on Aaron's forehead, so that Aaron shall bring forgiveness for a sin regarding the sacred offerings that the children of Israel consecrate for any gifts of their sacred offerings. And it shall be on his forehead always to bring them favor before Yahweh. You shall make a linen tunic of a box like knit. You shall make a linen turban, and you shall make a sash of embroidered work. For the sons of Aaron, you shall make tunics.
I wanted to add something to that frontlet that I don't think I heard you say that will be written on it, which is holy to Jehovah. That's a very important feature, because now that's your identification piece of who you are and what your job description is. Everyone is not going to just have that in this format. In conjunction with everything else, that I think that's one that could not be left out, because that is written on his forehead as a frontlet. Tom Sheep.
With them you shall dress Aaron your brother and his sons with him. You shall anoint them, inaugurate them, and sanctify them, and they shall be priests unto me.
So now we're talking about a part of a ceremony that we're setting some people apart. So now we have an understanding that you are not a part of this collective. You are set apart with a divine task. So this order is now being established. Tom Sheep.
Which should also like ring bells to us that there's always going to be a hierarchy. It's not everybody in the kingdom is not just going to be on the highest level. There's set apart, then there's most set apart, then there's the most set apart. So it's always a hierarchy. So everybody needs to learn our language.
Hallelujah.
42. You shall make them linen breeches to cover the flesh of nakedness. From the hips to the thighs, they shall be.
And so now we're talking about putting undergarments. We're talking about making sure that there's not any improper, sexual impurities, if you will. Because you have to realize that when you're in the midst of or have any contact with a Canaanitish thought process, these are the things that had them so that the Most High didn't want us to have anything to do with them. So when we're talking about setting up a holy person, we couldn't have an attire on that his extremities were not covered completely. So we're talking about not just order, but we're talking about morals and ethics. So now, outside of the splendor, we're making sure anything that could take this priest or these garments out of context is completely covered. I wanted to definitely make sure that we understood that with those undergarments. Tom Sheep. Okay.
I was just right on the last verse you read. We read inauguration. Think about the fuss that's made at this country.
Yes.
Inauguration.
Yes.
And you said a good thing about being set apart people. Everybody can't go to the inauguration.
No.
You have to be in that
Upper echelon.
There you go. So when we think about that, they make a big fuss about who's presenting, who's serving in the temple. It's not like you said earlier, it's not a light thing. It's a serious matter. And well, all of us maybe not be in politics like that, but when you see this Capitol Hill people, it's a big thing to them.
Yeah.
We might not get involved like that, but it's a big thing. Who's red carpet status, black tie affair. This would it. I'm gonna say it, not equivalent, but it's a similar to.
We're going to call it parallel.
Parallel.
And it's an excellent example that you're giving, because they do make a big to-do. They set a date. They set a day apart, and everybody tunes in, because guess what? This person is going to be the next person for 4 years that is going to be ruling over you.
Okay.
So now this is your official introduction. So in that same vein, this is what we're talking about. We have a new order that is going into place, And now, once we get Kohen Hagadol in place, now you know who's going to be the one that the Most High is going to be working through to bring forth justice and order. You understand? So, you know, underneath him, there's going to be an order that will fill his shoes once he's no longer there, such as your vice president and so forth and so on that goes down the line. Everybody knows their position in the event that this one is no longer there. So that was an excellent parallel in a thought process. King, time sheet.
Verse 43. They shall be on Aaron and his sons when they enter the tent of meeting, or when they approach the altar to serve in Kodeshmas. And they should not bear a sin and die. It is an eternal decree for him and his offspring after him. Chapter 29. This is the matter that you should do for them to set them apart, to be priests unto me. Take 1 bull and 2 rams, unblemished, with unleavened bread, unleavened loaves mixed with oil, and unleavened wafers, smeared with oil, of fine wheat flour, shall you make them. You shall place them in a single basket, and bring them near in the basket, with the bull and the 2 rams. Aaron and his sons you shall bring near to the entrance of the tent of meeting, and you shall immerse them in water. You shall take the vestments and dress Aaron with the tunic, the robe of the ephod, and the breastplate, and you shall girdle him with the belt of the ephod. You shall place the turban on his head, and place the crown of sanctity over the turban.
So now, as we see that we're going through with the consecration, or as my brother said, this whole inauguration type process, now that we know what the garments look like, we see now the proper time that the apparel is now going to be put on to be applied in this moment. Tom sheet.
You shall take the anointment oil and pour it on his head and anoint him. You shall cause his sons to come near and dress them in tunics. You shall girdle them with a sash, Aaron and his sons, and you shall wrap the headdresses on them. The priesthood shall be an eternal duty for them, and you shall inaugurate Aaron and his sons. You shall bring the bull near before the tent of meeting.
Let me pause real quick. Zakwane, can you stand for a minute? Because as he's describing it, he actually described very similar to what you have on right now, how it is fashioned. That's how Aharon's sons would come about, with their sash and with that tunic. So that
You shall bring the bull near before the tent of meeting. Aaron and his sons shall lean their hands upon the head of the bull. You shall slaughter the bull before Yahuwah, before the entrance of the tent of meeting. You shall take some blood of the bull and place it with your finger on the horns of the altar. And you shall pour all the blood on the base of the altar. You shall take all the fat that covers the innards, the diaphragm with the liver, the 2 kidneys, and the fat that is upon them. And you shall cause them to go up in smoke upon the altar. The flesh of the bull is hide, and its waist you shall burn in fire outside the camp.
Exactly,
It
because
is a sin offering.
right, and what that will be referenced as a korban katat, which is a sin offering. Now, it's important that that was taken and it was placed outside the camp because it had the sin with it and it is unclean. So now it had its set apart portion. It had to get dealt with in its own fashion, and because it, it's of its nature, it is an unclean situation. With that sin offering, it was burnt outside of the camp. Continue.
Verse 15. You shall take the first ram. Aaron and his sons shall lean their hands on the head of the ram. You shall slaughter the ram and take its blood and throw it on the altar all around. You shall cut the ram into its pieces, wash its innards and feet, and place them with its pieces and its head. You shall cause the entire ram to go up in smoke upon the altar. It is an olah to Yahuwah. It is a satisfying aroma, a fire offering.
A rayat nakoach. In other words, this is not partially consumed. This entire offering is going up to the Most High. King, Brother Denzel.
So, as we're reading, Aaron and his sons, they were killing the bull and separating it, correct?
Yeah, they at the door of the tent of meeting, they are the ones that laid hands on the actual beast and properly prepared it to go onto the altar.
So they're also wearing these priestly garments.
No, they're not wearing priestly garments.
Okay.
That's why we have to have that. That's how come I had Zaquin stand up. They were adorned in a tunic with the sash tied around. They had their uniform, let's call it, for this consecration ceremony, but it was not a priestly garment. The only one that had the priestly garment that we are no longer looking at was Kohen Hagadol, the high priest.
Okay, so was he getting blood on his garments there? In a sense.
Was who getting blood on their garments?
Aaron. Aaron.
Man, y'all trying to make me get on the time capsule and go back to properly answer that. It's possible, because he was in the midst, and okay, so it's possible.
That's just because of the cleanliness, you know, it was a perfect type of design that he had on it. It didn't have no dirt or anything on it. So
Understand something. And I think that when we read scriptures, we don't understand the severity of the matter. We were hands-on. And that's actually a very good question, because there were, there was, as we read, it had to be properly flayed and cut up, washed and cleaned, and put on the altar. So there's a fashion to which the animal was dealt with. I would say that Aharon was not the one that actually laid his hands on the beast to get the blood, as you said, on his garments, because it wasn't. That's what he's training the sons for, to take care of the hands-on with that. Okay.
Didn't Aaron do his service in those garments?
I don't understand.
Like, those clothes were the clothes that he wore, like, when he was doing his service while he was in the temple.
Okay.
So, he did do sacrifices in those garments. He had those garments that he had to wear in the temple, and then when he went outside the temple,
He had to change.
he had to
his
change his clothes. But inside the temple, where all the sacrifices, where the things were going on, he did have that on. So, he would have got blood on it.
Well, what I said was, I would assume he got blood on it, but we're talking about hands-on. I answered that question already.
No,
I said that I would assume that unless I'm an alien, I think I said, y'all gotta work with me on this.
No.
You confuse me with these great questions. Kane, one of you, Kane. Go ahead.
I heard shot for Zion, but if he's sprinkling blood on the mercy seat, I might sprinkle blood might be differently than how my Ish was sprinkled blood. But as far as can you sprinkle blood on anything and not get anything on your clothing?
Right. Yeah.
Or was it the ability to clean what he wore that made its craftsmanship so important?
Kane's out playing.
Blood is one of those things that if you don't get out right away with cold water, it stinks. And if you're doing something every day, as they was doing this every day, and yearly and weekly and so on and so on, it was designed to get blood on it, to wash, and to be stained. The blood wasn't supposed to, because of the nature of how it does, it's happened every day. These garments will have blood stains in them. See, we think right now, that's why I say it's not important to put images in front of you, because we think of images as looking in the mirror. You get blood on something, you're not going to get blood on your white shirt, not on red. That here, you get blood on it, because you see it's dirty, right? You wash it, and the stains don't come out of it. You put it dry, the stains don't come out of it. It's not gonna work, because it's embarrassing. So to them, it wasn't like it. You got to consider this is a daily routine.
And so, Kane.
And now, I hope y'all don't think that they only had one set of garments. Pretty sure they had more than one garment. Pretty sure.
We had a couple.
So they have to be clean. And if they have to be clean, if sacrifices have to go on every day, you have to have another garment.
This is what I'm gonna say on that, and then I'm gonna bring something forward for the rest of the course. I deliver fuel for a living. And so a lot of people figure just because I deliver fuel, I'm supposed to smell like fuel and I'm supposed to be dirty.
Right.
I promise you, I do everything I possibly can to not get a drip of fuel, a drip of dirt. I finished my 12 hours and people say, did you work yet?
Come on up.
So in reference to the blood in the priest, I think that's another image scenario because you were not there. So you don't know whether he got blood on his garment or not. Now, I think if we use our senses, we would know that the probability is extremely high. But at the end of the day, you know, we don't have anything that says anywhere in Scripture that when this blood came upon this priestly garment, this is how they dealt with it. We just when we're dealing with Torah, when we're dealing with Scriptures, we have to understand something very important. The Most High didn't verbatim write everything down. You know why? Because the 8th proverb was with the Most High since Bereshit, from the very beginning. He said that the wisdom was with him. So when I did the actual Bereshit portion at the very beginning of this Torah season, I said as we progress through this Torah season, please let us not leave wisdom behind. That's right. Because there's going to be times when we have to use our intellect in matters and not add to or diminish from this law. So if we cannot, and I actually think you have a very good point, Zaquane, let's leave that image to the side. It might cause a little extra. To answer your question again, Brother Denzel, it is a very good question. But at the end of the day, because we were not there, we don't know what happened. We know the probability was very high. So this is what I want to do. I want to get, and I'm going to get you in 1 second. I'm going to, after I talk to Imam, we're going through this portion. I have extra pens. I even have paper. But Bakwa Shah, write your questions down, your comments, or your concerns. Because we're going to get to this portion, and then we're going to come back and we will address any concerns. Because y'all got my nerves bobbled up here. I don't like bobbled nerves. Imam.
Not that we rely on Wikipedia from everything.
Oh, please don't say that word. That is garbage. If you go Wikipedia me, you know.
In cleaning linens are clean. Blood is clean from linens in cold water. And we know that at the temple, that we know that water, they had lots of water.
Basins of water.
Because ritual cleaning was necessary.
Absolutely.
And because they put blood on everything, they didn't leave blood on everything.
Right.
But cleaning linens in cold water is the right thing to do, and we can still get blood out of linen now with cold water.
Okay.
If it's done
immediately.
Yeah, if it's done when it's done.
Right.
You know, you do this and then you do that. And the vicinity of the Holy of Holies and everything, and the water's right here on the left-hand side, you finish and you use it.
Tortah, Imam.
Huh?
Tortah, Imam.
See the king.
All right, we shall continue from verse 19. Shemot 29:19. You shall take the second ram. Aaron and his son shall lean their hands on the head of the ram. You shall slaughter the ram. You shall take some of his blood and place it on the middle part of the ear of Aaron, and on the middle part of the ear of his sons, the right one, and on the thumb of the right hand, and on the big toe of their right foot. And you shall throw the blood upon the altar all around.
So when we look at that, the essence of that is what? Hearing the law or the instructions of the Most High.
That's right.
Putting your hands in the work of the Most High and walking in the ways, the statutes of the Creator.
Okay.
Those are the symbolisms that we have with this to help us understand. Once again, these are all very important, intricate details that have to be laid out because you had to have that spirit placed upon you. This is a spiritual ceremony, you know. This is something that you have to receive and understand that the importance of your job. Continue.
Verse 21. You shall take some of the blood that is on the altar and some of the anointment oil and sprinkle on Aaron and on his garments and on his sons and the garments of his sons with him. He and his garments, and his sons and his sons' garments with him shall become Kodesh. From the ram you shall take the fat, the tail, the fat that covers the innards, the diaphragm with the liver, the 2 kidneys, and the fat that is on them, and the right thigh. It is a lamb of perfection. A cake of bread, 1 oily loaf, and 1 wafer from the basket of unleavened loaves that is before Yahweh. You shall place it all on the palms of Aaron, and on the palms of his sons, and you shall wave them as a wave offering before Yahweh. You shall take them from their hands, and cause it to go up in smoke on the altar, on the burnt offering, as a satisfying aroma before Yahuwah. It is a fire offering to Hashem. You shall take the breast of the inauguration ram, that is Aaron's, and you shall wave it as a wave offering before Hashem. Then it shall be your portion.
Exactly. So now, after that peace offering that was waved before the Creator, then you had the portion that the priest could actually partake of, which we just read in that breast, Tom sheet.
You shall sanctify the breast of the waving, and the thigh of the raising up, that was waved and that was raised up from the inauguration ram, that was for Aaron and for his sons. It shall be for Aaron and his sons as an eternal portion from the children of Israel, for it is a portion, and it shall remain a portion from the children of Israel, from their peace offering feast, their portion to Yahweh. The holy garments of Aaron shall belong to his sons after him, to become elevated through them, to become inaugurated through them.
So as we have gone through and we're going through this inauguration process, we now understand that these garments, the makeup, the contour of these garments, once Aharon's duties were actually finished, that his sons had that lineage to follow through. And once again, there's going to come that day and time very soon that we will have the Most High place His Spirit upon some wise man to bring forth these garments once again, and now that order is going to get set back into place as we're reading. Tom sheet.
For a 7-day period, the Kohen who succeeds him, from his sons who shall enter the tent of meeting to serve in the sanctuary, shall adorn them. You shall take the inauguration ram and cook its flesh in a holy place. Aaron and his sons shall eat the flesh of the ram and the bread that is in the basket before the entrance of the tent of meeting. They who received atonement through them, to inaugurate them, to sanctify them, shall eat them. A stranger shall not eat, for they are Kodesh. If anything shall be left over from the flesh of the inauguration offering, or from the bread until the morning, you shall burn the leftover in the fire. It may not be eaten, for it is Kodesh.
It is holy, exactly. So that particular portion is set apart for the designated eaters, and if anything is left over, anyone can't just walk up and consume that because it is holy. You understand? So it's saying that the way that has to be dealt with is that it has to be burned. It can't just get thrown away, because what if somebody decides, well, who threw this good piece of meat away? I just partook of something that is holy. You have to burn it. Continue.
Verse 35. You shall do thus for Aaron and his sons, like everything that I have commanded you. For a 7-day period shall you inaugurate them. A bull sin offering shall you make for each day for the atonements. You shall purify the altar by bringing atonement for it, and you shall anoint it to set it apart. For a 7-day period shall you bring atonement for the altar and sanctify it. The altar shall be the Kodesh HaKodashim, or Holy of Holies. Whatever touches the altar shall become sanctified. This is what you shall offer upon that altar. 2 sheep within their first year, every day, continually. You shall offer the 1 sheep in the morning, and the 2nd sheep shall you offer in the afternoon. A 10th ephah of fine flour mixed with a 1/4 hin of beaten oil, and a libation of a 1/4 hin of wine for each sheep. You shall offer the 2nd sheep in the afternoon, like the meal offering of the morning, and this libation shall you offer for it, for a satisfying aroma, a fire offering to Yahuwah, as a continual burnt offering for your generations at the entrance of the tent of meeting before Yahuwah, where I shall set my meeting with you to speak to you there. Verse 43. I shall set my meeting there with the children of Israel, and it shall be sanctified with my esteem. I shall sanctify the tent of meeting and the altar, and Aaron and his son shall I sanctify to be priests unto me. I shall rest my presence among the children of Israel, and I shall be their Elohim. They shall know that I am Yahuwah, their Elohim, who took them out of the land of Israel to rest my presence among them. I am Elohim, I am Yahuwah, their Elohim.
So now we have the stage set. Once this consecration cycle, the 7-day period is done, the Most High is saying that everything is complete. Everybody has their job and their description. You are set apart people, and I am your power. So now, as we proceed forward in this journey, just understand that this is the protocol. Don't break it, because you break the protocol, you're altering the results. In other words, you do anything outside of the way the Most High has this lined up in the priestly domain, you're not only affecting yourselves, but you're affecting those that you're supposed to instruct.
Okay.
You understand? You can cause death within the community by you not adhering to what it is that the Most High has placed you in the midst of. So everything is about a separation here. You're not as the commoner. You understand? So by example, and it is no belittling to anyone on that realm. When you're standing here behind this Mizbeach Tefillah, if you were the priest, you are elevated. You see how this is lifted up? You're elevated. You all will be the commoners. So now I have to give the instruction to the commoners according to what the Creator brings forth to me. Because if I give anything incorrect, that's to come, even when we're doing right now, it can be a dangerous area to be debative or bring forth different mixed views, because we have to be on one accord. We have to find a better way to get on one accord without causing confusion. Because now, if anybody leaves out of here confused, unfortunately, guess who that's going to fall on?
Okay.
So that's not good. This is, even in this day and time, of course we're not in the temple. Of course, I don't have on priestly garments. Those are things that we already know. We understand that. But anytime someone is standing in this particular position, it is a very serious matter. I personally don't take it lightly. I actually get butterflies every time I come up here because I'm standing before Yah's people attempting to give instruction. Tom Sheep, take us out.
Shemot chapter 30, verse 1. You shall make an altar on which to bring incense up in smoke of acacia wood. Shall you make it? Its length a cubit, and its width a cubit. It shall be square, and its height 2 cubits. From it shall its horns be. You shall cover it with pure gold, its roof and its walls all around, and its horns. And you shall make for it a gold crown all around. And you shall make for it 2 gold rings under its crown, and on its 2 corners. And you shall make it on its 2 sides, and it shall be for housings for the staves with which to carry it. You shall make the staves of acacia wood, and cover them with gold. You shall place it before the partition that is by the ark of the testimonial tablets, in front of the cover that is on the testimonial tablets, where I shall set my meetings with you.
And notice that once again you have a holy artifact that has the rings, that has the holes for the staves to go through, because it was not designed to be picked up and carried like that. It was designed to have, exactly, my brother, to be picked up and carried by the individuals holding the staves. These are holy artifacts. So even in moving, when the tent of meeting had to be broken down and things had to be moved, the proper Levites had to do the moving. Once again, you're talking life and death.
Okay.
That's because it's important that we understand our jobs, our positions, because it is not a game. We found out how that worked for Nadab and Abihu. You understand? They're getting all this right now. They should be getting an understanding of how very serious this position is. So, sometimes we do get beside ourselves. We get excited, and we don't mean harm. So we decide we want to run out and do a little extra. I just figure I'd help out. Be easy, because you might help yourself out of life. Continue.
Verse 7. Upon it shall Aaron bring the spice incense up in smoke every morning. When he cleans the lamps, he shall bring it up in smoke. And when Aaron kindles the lamps in the afternoon, he shall bring it up in smoke. Continual incense before Yahuwah for your generations. You shall not bring upon it strange incense, or a burnt offering, or meal offering, nor may you pour a libation upon it. Aaron shall bring atonement upon its horns once a year from the blood of the sin offering of the atonements. Once a year shall he bring atonement upon it for your generations. It is the most set apart to Yahuwah. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
So just like the other artifacts, as we have to be cleansed and purged of our sins, we have to make sure that there's a cleansing process for the holy artifacts, because guess what? If something was done improperly, if someone was in the midst of a holy artifact unjustly and they brought some form of uncleanness on it, it has to be cleaned also. It has to go through that same cleansing that our spirits, our bodies have to go through the day, on the Day of Atonement. So, thus ends the portion, and I really pray.
Hallelujah.
I really pray that we can have a understanding of this law. We have some great teachers in here. Myself, I personally like staying above the water. You understand? And when I say that, I mean I like to bring forth things for understanding. That's defeating the purpose of teaching if you're saying words that make sense to those that are beneath the water. So I pray we find a better way to communicate with one another and make sure that we get these lessons done in a righteous format. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, man. Come on.
Speak up. I have two.
You got your questions, I forgot.
Yeah, go ahead.
Question, answer, or statement?
Statement.
Okay.
It kind of answers your question. It hit my mind while we were just reading. When lamb is being cut in halal, what they do is there's a certain technique that they have that they slit the throat where the blood literally flows out into the basin. And when it flows out, you're not allowed to do anything else until all the blood is completely drained out. And therefore, as it's going into this basin, basically they're saying, you're not going to get your clothes dirty in any of that fashion because of the technique of them doing it. It's like a certain way of doing it to make sure that the meat is kosher or halal in what they say in that terms. So that's what would hit me, like, how would it get dirty? There's a technique that is involved because, they'll have blood on their hands because, that's where it's coming from. But at the same time, that's why you have the cold water. But it most likely wouldn't hit the garment if they were doing the technique of properly draining all the blood out first in order for them to be able to sprinkle it in and everything of that nature. So that was one thing that just hit me.
Exactly.
Okay, I agree, Adon. If anyone was at the last Pesach that we did, y'all should have had a glimpse of how we did it. I slaughtered one and Yochanan slaughtered one, and I didn't get any blood on me. And I had on white linen that day, actually, and I didn't get not one blood on me. But once, and we did two of them actually. One went up as a burnt offering or what have you, and then the other one we prepared and everything like that. And I think Adon, he prepared it. So, and he just had a little apron type thing on. But like I say, when I slit the throat, he just went in, we put it in the ground. Actually, we put it in a bucket first, a little bit that we caught, and then the rest went into the ground and we covered it with the dirt. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
It was me. I had my hand up. I want to talk about priestly. What a priest was then versus what a priest understanding is today. Moshe stood in front of the people and gave the law. The priests had an order. You had those that took care of utensils. Those were priestly order. You had those that The high Kador, that was a priestly order. And then there was certain sections of priestly order. It wasn't to stand there in front of people and give the law as we do now. That's what Catholics do. I'm the priest and we stand in front and give what Yah said. That wasn't the order. After Moses finished, everybody knew the law. It was up to man to walk according to the law as he was taught. And he was to teach his children the law. That was the thing that it was supposed to be done like. Now we can come along because of our sins and y'all taking certain things from us. We got people standing in saying priestly, but that wasn't really what the priestly was supposed to be. So all I'm saying is to say this: we need to be careful when we start saying things about priestly order that we're not really doing as the Christians do. We find ourselves in a realm and with a mindset of really Christianity because of how we've been taught here in America how things is done. But when you really examine the scripture, it's not so. Yes.
I'm confused by what you're saying.
By what I'm saying.
Excuse me.
Okay.
Okay. You're saying basically that we're adapting to the way things are here, what we see, where we have someone stand in front of the people and they're teaching. That's what you're saying?
Definitely.
And that Moshe didn't do it like that?
No, I'm saying Moshe taught the people, or the people knew the order. We don't know the law. So yes, we have to have somebody teach us the law. But it's not what we call a priestly order. It's not what Yah instructed to us to be priests. It's us saying because we've been taught that's what priests do, so that's what we call them priests. And that's why we call them ministers and empower them and stuff of that nature. But every man at the time of this was given knew the law because Moses, and then after Moses died out, and you know here Aharon standing in front of people, teaching the people what it was supposed to be until further down the line, until King Solomon and then the temple was built and then all this stuff took place. But that's all because of sin. You see what I'm saying? So now what we got now is an order that's man informed to be priestly. It's not so much with God. God says, this is my law, you walk the law. That's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to understand and follow what he commands us to do. There's other stuff that priesthood was supposed to do. Was supposed to be making sacrifice for atonement. That was the priestly order. And that's the difference. And when we get to the stuff now that we do stuff, a lot of stuff I say it's Christianity. Because that's what Christians do, that's what Catholics do. That's what they believe. It's like my wife used to say to me when we go to Christian church, don't sit on that table, that's holy. It's just a table. It's not holy. You understand what I'm saying? Community table. But that's the belief, that's what I'm talking about.
But we have to remember, a lot of these religions, not nationalities, religions, adapted from us and what we have. And a lot of times we're letting our stuff go because we're not trying to be like them, but in all actuality, they took our stuff and they're trying to be like us.
Right.
So we have to be careful on that as
Right,
well.
right.
That's what the
Right,
knowledge
that's exactly what I'm
saying.
saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. They took your stuff and turned it into an abomination.
Right.
You understand? And they call it this. And we live according to their abomination that they took from us. So we got to be careful not to get back and hung up in the abomination that they took from us and understand what Yah is telling us in the Word. And walk according to how He's telling us to walk in the Word. And that's two very different things. So now we got a separation though. We got one thing going on here that we're taught, and we got Yah telling us something completely different. Yah said, this is my law. This is my word. This is what I command you to believe in. This is what I command you to have faith in. This is how you walk. That's the thing that we should be concerning ourselves with. And yes, the priestly garment, the third temple and all that, that's coming back. I agree with that. But they got an order too. The temple got a purpose. The temple is not for you to go there. It's to put meat in the storehouse for the widows, the homeless, and the people that Yah called his priests and take care of his building. You understand? That's what it was supposed to be for, to make atonement and slaughters for you and stuff of that nature. That's what that was for. They didn't stand up there and say, this is the law, because you already knew the law. Every Israelite knows the law. Because once again, they adopted us from childhood to the age of 13, and they go what they call a what? A bar mitzvah. And that's the law. And every Israelite is supposed to know that. Even today. But we don't learn it. That's what we need to be teaching. The law from childhood up. And when you get to it, they already know the law. And the rest of the stuff
By 12, the age of 12.
we're supposed to already know. And every Israelite already knew the law. But what we do now is not documented. It's how we encompass this thing into us. Right.
What kind of point are you trying to make? I'm sorry, you speaking.
All I'm saying is not to be careful. I'm sorry, yes, I am a little deep.
No,
It's-
I'm not.
No, I'm not.
Dinner. So we can get to the table.
Okay.
Table.
Table.
Huh?
He'll explain it to you at dinner.
Oh, okay. Alright.
Because I'm going to confuse a lot of people here.
I'll let it go, but I was gonna give another example of, in Revelation, where it speaks of 4 world kingdoms, Babylon, Media, Persia, Greece, and Rome, and then they have 4 beasts that represent, and they have those on paper to show an example. So to me, that statue right there is just an example because we have the same one at the branch of Jerusalem as an example. And we know it's not the real thing. So I'm seeing what you're saying, brother. I'm seeing what you're saying.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm kind of lost.
We all learning, so it's nothing to like,
Okay.
Got it.
Any more questions, comments, concerns, statements? I do want to take time before we close out. I guess we're going to get into the praise session, but I want to acknowledge my brother, MORAY Yaya, Bain, MORAY Haggadah, Mishael. Hallelujah. And his family, and my baby just safety. So that y'all for your safe arrival. So yeah, Zaquane, I'll turn it back over to you. I imagine we will do that, or do you just want me to turn it over to Dawood so he
You can
can
turn it over to Dawood.
so he can get the praise session going? Come on, minister of youth.
Okay.
I need you to get motivated, brother.
So Kane said don't call me that. He said, call me that.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.